live case session from Nizams.
We have Dr. Srinivas with me and Dr. Suresh, Dr. Amarpal Singh. This gentleman, he had antral infarction and he was not thrombolized. He is hypertensive and smoker. He is non-diabetic. And he has mid-segment LAD total occlusion and he has a diagonal lesion also at the ostium. The diagonal lesion is not that tight, it's around 30%. And beyond the ostial lesion, there is another lesion, which is about 60% in the diagonal. So here, basically, you want to dilate the totally occluded left antidistant artery, and also we'll have to keep open the diagonal branch.
Can you see the angio, diagnostic angio picture?
Yeah, we'll be showing the angio. Show the angios. You are able to see the angios?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Next. So it's a total occlusion of the LAD and also the diagonal ostial lesion about 30%, not a very critical lesion. But there is another lesion beyond the ostial lesion that is about 60 to 70%. So here basically we want to demonstrate the usefulness of a committed bifurcation stent because the diagonal ostium is having a lesion and here there is no healthy stump in the LAD. Whatever stump we have, it is deceased. And whenever you stent the LAD, you will have to stent across the diagonal.
Can you keep running that diagnostic LAD shot, please? We could see.
Yeah, you can focus onto this shot.
What is the LV function of the patient?
Dr. Srinivas Kumar, can we know the LV function and
I just asked
LV function and viability.
I worked enough longer with you. I almost heard your brain. So I just asked that question. Can you tell about the LV function of this?
He has mild LV dysfunction, Srinivas Kumar.
Okay, sir.
He has post-infarct angina also.
Okay.
He has very mild LV dysfunction. You are able to see the...
Yeah, now we are able to see.
Yeah.
Angio picture, can you show the epicranial shot of LAD once?
The RCA injection fills the LAD?
Show the epicranial. So this
is there collaterals from RCA coming?
No, they are the LAD is filling, distal LAD is filling from RCA.
Okay.
He has some collaterals.
Yeah.
So here what we are planning is basically to cross the LAD and put a wire into the diagonal also.
The diagonal ostium seems to be free from disease and slightly just proximal to the lesion, but as you understand, it's so close that you can't avoid the ostium of the diagonal. Stent has to be placed there. That's what you're thinking.
Exactly. Whenever you put a diagonal stent, automatically it has to be extended up to the ostium of the diagonal.
Dr. Sheshagiri, we have Dr. Sunil Kapoor with us. He wants to just...
So according to...
Yes, Sunil.
Hi, Dr. Sheshagiri. It's a good case. So according to Medina classification, this will be, 110. But...
Sunil, you are not audible. Can you...
101. Yeah.
According to the Medina classification, can you hear us now?
Hello?
Increase that mic.
They are setting the mic, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah, it's 011.
So, yeah. So actually, 011, and then the interesting thing is now you have added a thrombus. Normally your Medina classification is without the thrombus. So now it's an acute MI setting. So you've added a thrombus. So
here you can increase the
Medina classification and the approach may not work because you have a mobile, there will be a thrombus which is likely to move into various directions.
Dr. Sheshagiri, are you able to hear him?
No, Srinivas Kumar, just they are adjusting the volume. Volume is very low here.
Yeah, they are adjusting the mic too here. 1 minute.
Yeah, they are adjusting the volume. Can you just repeat, Sunil, if you don't mind?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear now?
Increase a little bit.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, Sunil, go on.
Okay. So the interesting part is now though we know the Medina classification and the approach to bifurcation stenting, now we have a thrombus which is added to that as a component of the classification. Normally, the Medina classification is for a chronic lesions, but here it's an acute thrombus containing lesion. So your approach has to be slightly different than what you would approach with the routine Medina classification. So I think we need to strategize, and what would be your strategy?
Yeah, here Sunil, basically whenever you want to dilate the LAD, here you have to put the stent across the ostium of the diagonal, because there is no healthy stump in the LAD. Whatever stump we have, it's tapering, that means it is diseased. So basically whenever you stent the LAD across the ostium of the diagonal, there is a chance of pinching of the ostium of the diagonal, and also you'll have to stent the diagonal there. There is another lesion in the diagonal. So here, basically, I feel a committed bifurcation stent would be an ideal thing, which can keep the ostium of the diagonal open, so that we can stent the second lesion in the diagonal easily.
I think we can work on it. You wire the diagonal and put the wire into LAD, and probably once you daughter with the balloon, probably if it opens up further, we can decide further as the case goes on. We can proceed to the case.
Yeah, here actually we engaged this thing, and we crossed the lesion with a BMW wire, and show the shots. Yeah, take one more injection. Yeah. So now we are planning to put a wire into the diagonal. Yeah. So what do you think, Srinivas Kumar? What should be your approach?
How old is the thrombus?
No,
We have Dr. Our senior professor V.K. Puri with us. He just asking how old is the case? What is it?
He had antral.
3 days old or 5 days old?
He had antral infarction on 4th August.
4th August. 15 days old. What wire you have taken, sir?
This is a BMW.
Okay. Probably for the benefit of other younger colleagues, if you find that angulation of the diagonal is slightly different, probably if you shape the wire little, give little more loop to it, it helps in entering the diagonal vessel. Compared to the main vessel, where you need not give that much angulation, probably it would be helpful if you can do. You should always try to avoid entering like that too deep into any small branches, or it can lead to trouble. Yes, sir.
I am Dr. Karandikar from Pune. Can I just raise a point?
Yeah.
The infarct is about 10 days old. The angio did not show very significant filling of the distal LAD. Maybe there was a trickle. But the Oates trial has shown that if you open an artery 2 to 3 days after the total occlusion, the outcomes are not necessarily beneficial to the patient.
Recurrent angina, he said. That is not applicable.
No, I just wanted to raise the point. Of course, there was angina. That is a point in favor of the intervention.
That is why this patient is taken up for procedure.
But the
patient is not asymptomatic.
Let us check if there is a myocardial blush at the end of the procedure.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, diagonal is quite tortuous.
Okay. I think that much is enough. Yeah, we'll leave it here, there, I think. You dilated the LAD already?
We already dilated with 1.5. We are going ahead with a slightly bigger balloon. It is 2 mm balloon.
Yeah.
So continuing what we talked about yesterday, so-called bifurcation lesions, an anterior MI, recent, not thrombolized, already totally occluded. Diagonal was possibly likely to be compromised.
Repeat
Again, The LV function assessment by routine echocardiography can be quite underestimation. That area of muscle
Increase the
damage may
inputs
not be
in
known.
mic, please.
So it is very important to know the degree of LV dysfunction and viability before you do anything to such patients. Because for him, if this LAD territory is not viable, the most important artery for him is not going to be LAD, it is diagonal. So then, for an average angioplaster, you got a good result for LAD, you will leave the diagonal alone at the end of all this. And that will be a beginnings of disasters. Just be aware of it.
That scenario is called don't lose sight of the woods by counting the trees, because you continuously look only at the LAD, and one must realize that in this setting the diagonal assumes significant significance in terms of the remaining myocardium. So it's like while counting the trees, don't lose sight of the woods.
Nitro. Good. You have dilated with the 2 mm balloon.
Yeah, can you see the picture after that?
Yeah. Ready?
Once we dilate with the balloon or once we do daughtering, still we are not getting adequate flow. It means that the thrombus burden is significant.
Yeah, looks like
If it's an atherosclerotic
Sunil.
lesion with one daughtering, you will get good distal flow,
Yeah,
good
that's
visualization of the distal vessel. So if you daughter once, so that's why before inflating, it's always better to daughter it once and come back and see. And that will be an indicator. It's like a poor man's intravascular ultrasound.
But Sunil, if I may ask you that if the length of the thrombus is more and if you're using a shorter balloon, probably you're not,
Yeah, that's an
you're not
additional.
sequestered.
that's
So
an
I would have
additional-
used a much longer balloon.
That's an additional factor, but most of the scenarios you get discrete lesions, maybe up to 20
In
millimeters.
this particular case, I think the length of the thrombus is quite large. I think it's more than
So
15.
obviously that's what the conclusion was, that you have a large thrombus burden. So then you need to deal with that.
Yeah, we are trying to daughter the thrombus with this balloon.
Have you given 2B3A?
Yeah.
Have you given any 2B3 agent?
Yeah, patient is already on.
Yeah, because it's very important, I think.
Export catheter sucking may be also helpful ones. Sucking with the export.
I think once you see a thrombus, you should always wait and watch, think over the strategy. One should not go on just like a routine patient. Martin Rothman once described, the once you see a large thrombus, go in a controlled aggression mode, not in a continuous aggression mode. That is, you sit back, allow your 2B3A to flow, pre-treat your distal segment with nicorandil or adenosine or nitroglycerin as the case may be, because what you're expecting is this thrombus
So
will go
you-
downstream and will cause no reflow.
Integral.
And you know that once there is no reflow, the mortality jumps up by about 2 to 3 times. So you need not to go in the same velocity, wait for some time, pre-treat the distal vascular bed with nitroglycerin or nicorandil, because spasm is going to be an element, and then wait for the 2B3A to act in the distal bed, because up till now the distal bed was not getting any 2B3A, so that the secondary platelet aggregation is reduced. So this 5 minutes of waiting will go a long way in getting a good ultimate result, getting a less CPK bump and having lesser mortality in the long run, because we know that the amount of CPK bump that you get now is going to determine his mortality even in the long run.
I agree with you, Sunil, but the dictum where the thrombus is, they take out the thrombus.
Yeah,
You
that's
see,
why
that's the dictum. But
sucking-
that's the reason I asked that if it's a 3 days old thrombus, it won't be all that easy to take it out.
Yes, it can
And
be.
therefore, you have to sequestrate the thrombus once for all to make it a very small fragments.
Yeah, it's also a good idea to do a thrombectomy.
We do thrombectomy.
But in this
and-
particular case, I don't think thrombectomy would have been a very good choice, because it's probably organized thrombus is 3 days old thrombus. I would have
15
thought using a 20 millimeter balloon,
This is a 15-day-old thrombus.
15-day-old thrombus is even more difficult. So I would have thought using a 15 millimeter or 20 millimeter long balloon to address the thrombus once for all, instead of doing it in few segments with a smaller balloon, that probably would have taken.
Dr. Sheshagiri, did you hear the points of chairpersons here? Basically, they feel that thrombus needs to be taken little, and I think you've already given some distal nicorandil or varapal for anything.
What you see is a diffuse thrombus load in that LAD.
Probably may have to try a thrombosuction here.
Yeah. I think thrombosection would be a good idea to do. Because it's all layered thrombus.
What we have also noticed is intracoronary nicorandil, especially when given through export catheter, distally into the occluded bed, works really well. When we are giving nicorandil only in the guide catheter, more than that, when you gave the catheter through the perfusion like distally into the occluded bed, it works better, we feel, because whatever nicorandil we are giving intravenous or outside is not reaching the site where it is totally occluded.
In essence, what he's saying is deliver it to the microvasculature where it's needed the most.
So that nicorandil may also help slightly here. After putting the export, probably we can give some intracoronary nicorandil through it. Yeah, Murthy?
Yeah, I will try this thrombosuction with an export catheter. Still, there is significant thrombus.
Sheshgiri, one must know that you have a very challenging case on hand. So we are all with you. We know we will not get an optimal result, so don't get worried and just go do what we do best, treat the problem and take it.
Sorry, we are not being able to hear you.
You have a very challenging case on hand. So we know it's a large thrombus, diffuse thrombus, so we have to work a lot to get a good result. Yeah.
What's your opinion about directly stenting these thrombus? You know, once we know the extent of the lesion, if we have not done anything else, just directly stent it with a one stent, good size, long stent. And then, of course, I do agree with you that the pre-treatment of the microvascular bed is a very, very important thing before you do any procedure further to this.
Current thinking in this by Antonio Colombo and some of the people who have large volumes of acute MI, they are using something like akin to a covered stent, the MGOT stent. Have you heard of that? So they have a filter on that. It's a long stent. It will just enmesh the thrombus and keep it against the wall. It will not allow it to embolize. So in some of these situations, literature is very fast emerging that in acute MI with a large thrombus burden, some of this new technology will also have to be used apart from thrombectomy and whatever we have up to now.
Or it's threaded on a wrong wire. We are going on to the LED wire.
Hello,
Yeah,
Srinivas Kumar.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the export
Murthy.
catheter.
Yeah, if you see the RCA,
This was threaded onto the diagonal wire.
RCA is diffusely diseased and the LED,
Yeah.
totally if you see,
Okay.
it's not healthy as it is. So we are likely to have similar disease downstream in the LED. But
That's
if
what
you
it's
see
a long.
whatever LED you are seeing distally, it's not a healthy.
Yeah, we already said that it's a very long lesion,
that is
so
why
it's not a
he-
straightforward
that
case.
That is why Kapoor said we are with you.
Downstream, even if you remove the thrombus, suppose if you do a direct stenting of this,
We are looking at multiple stents in this patient. It's the writing is on the wall. It's a long lesion with a large layered thrombus. We are looking at multiple stents or a long stent in this patient.
To avoid this confusion between entanglement of LED and diagonal wires, what we employ, each operator might be having their own types of thing. Lot of newer stuff, small devices are also coming up. One simple measure which I would like to mention is probably that picture is where it would be more better. We put a gauze piece covering one of it. If you turn the gauze piece onto the other side, it will close one of the artery. And if you turn it this way, the other one will be closed. I don't know whether I have communicated. In between the two wires, you pass a gauze piece. If you turn it towards that side, the diagonal wire gets closed. If you open it, then you will see this wire, that will be closed. And this will avoid this confusion of putting onto the other diagonal wire. And it also helps you in avoiding the entanglement of the wires. Because many times when you're tackling with this LED diagonal thing, the wires get entangled in the guide catheter itself. You may not reach it at that point. This small maneuver using one gauze piece can avoid all these troubles.
Yes, Srinivas Kumar, actually torque was put onto the sphere that is removed.
Yeah, that's what.
You know.
Now what are you doing? You are putting export?
Yeah, export. We are trying to aspirate the thrombus.
Okay.
Take your time, because this time spent is time well spent, because the more thrombus you take out, the better result that you'll get. So take your time, multiple passes.
What did this thing, another one?
One more important feature for the benefit of every youngster is the more aspiration you do, the more better it is. That's what sir is trying to mention. If you just, for the sake of doing one aspiration and come out 10 cc, it may not work sometimes. There are instances where we extract as high as about 50 to 100 ml of blood as it keeps coming. So the idea is to suck out as much thrombus as possible. And if you take a picture later, if you're happy with the picture that thrombus has come out, then it's okay. Otherwise, it's worth taking 3-4 runs of thrombectomy.
Yes, Srinivas Kumar, actually we got some thrombus. We are focusing the...
Yeah, you'll get large chunks.
Can you focus and see that thrombus?
Yeah. Focus onto that.
Yes. And I think you'll have to do multiple passes, at least 8 to 10.
So we'll have to do it till we get
Spend your time. This is the time to make the lesion better. 2B3A is like a seat belt, and a distal protection device is like an airbag, and the thrombectomy device is the one which takes away the driver from the car so that it doesn't get injured. So use all the three if possible.
Dr. Puri, you were mentioning though, thrombectomy generally helps. We have seen quite a long, we do quite large volume of primary PCA.
Yeah, I'm really
even if the patient comes
happy and surprised that a 3 weeks old thrombus can be pulled out.
No, we do see like that. Lot of times thrombus comes out. And we have seen even some types of fatty type of material, whitish materials also coming out along with the clots. We were trying to see whether we could do a histological study of that. Meanwhile, an article got published in circulation, but we are also trying to look at that.
In fact, the Tapas trial where they did the
now the flow is
thrombectomy,
much better, Srinivas.
yeah, looks better.
Definitely thrombectomy helps many times.
You need to probably plan for long stents and multiple stents also.
Did you give any intracoronary Riopro in this situation?
Yes, they have already given.
Intracoronary eptifibatide was given. Okay.
The Tapas subsegment, you said, I'm surprised that chronic thrombus can be taken away. The Tapas subsegment dealt with the SVG grafts, 8-year-old, 9-year-old grafts. So we are not talking, this is only 3 weeks. So even 8-year-old, 9-year-old grafts, when they did a thrombectomy, apart from a distal protection device, they took out large chunks of thrombi, and that helped. In fact, the CPK bumps were lesser. So that's why I said you need a combination of things. Luckily, we have some devices and drugs now to deal with this problem.
Sunil, what do you think at this juncture? We can go ahead with stenting, or
yeah, can you show the picture again which you have taken after thrombectomy?
Yeah.
Please show the fluoro picture after thrombectomy. Sini.
This one, you are showing this, no?
Yeah. Now we are able to see it, sir. Just run it.
Okay. Are you able to see, Srinivas?
Yeah, just run it. Run the picture. The still frame is on.
Okay. We are taking another injection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, flow is much better now. I think now you can go ahead with this thing, stenting.
You'll be able to see the pictures best because we are seeing transmitted images. So I think you should take the decision, Seshagiri.
Srinivas, the plan is now, first we want to secure the bifurcation.
Okay.
So after securing the bifurcation, then we will stent the remaining portions of the main vessel and also the diagonal.
What type of bifurcation stent are you planning to take here? Can you
here we are using a Minvasis. It is a paclitaxel coated bifurcation stent. The paclitaxel is coated on the abdominal surface, and the strut thickness is 73 microns. Whereas the older stents, the bifurcation stents, the Frontier and Invatec, their strut thickness is much higher, about 120 microns. So this is a more user-friendly stent, and we'll show you the data of this Invasis bifurcation stent. So this is the 3D image of this bare stent. it is mounted on two balloons. So basically, the two independent balloons are there on which the stent is mounted. One balloon will go into the side branch and other balloon will go into the main vessel. And both the shafts of these balloons are together by means of a peel-away sheath. You can...
Dr. Sheshikar, we wish we could have a stable patient where with the LED bifurcation, this could be performed very better. Now anyway, as I said, we are with you. There's some dissection, thrombus in the artery, but probably go ahead.
You are able to see the pictures there?
Yeah, we are able to see. Go ahead, sister.
Run. Okay, these are the images of this bifurcation stent. So we have to thread both the balloons. First we have to thread the side branch balloon, followed by the main branch balloon. Next. Next. So this peel-away sheath should not be removed manually. So when you are pushing the shaft, automatically the peel-away comes off. Next. Yeah, here the main branch balloon will have three markers. So basically the central marker indicates the position of the carina. So at the carina there is a sleeve that is extending into the side branch. So you have to advance the stent till the central marker suits the carina. Next. So after advancing the stent, first you have to inflate the main branch balloon, and once it is inflated, again you have to deflate the main branch balloon, and then you have to advance the side branch balloon. Side branch balloon will not be in position. We have to advance the side branch balloon into the side branch sleeve and then inflate the side branch balloon. Next. So here the side branch balloon is inflated. Next. So after this, final kissing will be done. Both balloons will be inflated. So this is a paclitaxel coated committed bifurcation stent, which has a conical shape. The proximal segment will be conical and distal segment will be like a tube. Both these segments are joined together by means of a single link, which is opposite the side branch. So the advantage of having a single connection is basically the side branch balloon can go whatever may be the position of the side branch. That is the advantage of having only a single link between the distal segment and the proximal segment of the stent.
This year we'll see the launch of about 4 bifurcation devices. A lot of them are in the pipeline. The DGCA has to give approvals, and I think this year we are going to see about 4 bifurcation devices coming into India.
It's a 3-dimensional construction. Here the main branch balloon is inflated. And now after that the side branch balloon is inflated. Now the side branch sleeve gets expanded there. And final kissing will be done with these balloons.
Also the advantage is that in some situations where you have only the ostial pinching of the diagonal, this stent alone may work because you don't need to put an additional stent. What is the size of the diagonal?
Sunil, what do you think the size of the diagonal would be?
2.5.
Yeah, we are also thinking that
LED looks 3.25, and the diagonal looks 2.5. I think.
Yeah, LED looks 3, and the diagonal looks 2.5. Here the stent is available from 2.5 to 3.5, and the side branch also the size would be from 2 to 2.5.
I think always, also when we are doing bifurcation, always slightly undersized, because when you're going to do kissing balloon, you're going to make up for that.
Yeah.
If you use slightly oversized stents, then when you're doing kissing balloon, you may have more of a problem. So keep that in mind. The ultimate, we're going to do a kissing balloon.
So here we are taking a 2.5, this bifurcation stent. The length of the stent would be 18 millimeters. It's available in 2 sizes, 18 millimeters and 24 millimeters.
Yeah, I think it should be okay.
The distal size is always 8 millimeters only in both the sizes.
Yeah, once you go ahead with this, we can tackle the distal part of the LED. If it requires, you can put additional stents. So first you go
Yeah, exactly. After securing the bifurcation.
Yeah. So secure the bifurcation first. I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah, 18. 18.3, 2.5. 3 pi 2.5. So this is the diagonal wire. So most important thing while advancing this bifurcation stent is there should not be any wire twisting.
Dr. Sheshagiri, here the LED lesion looks longer. Probably after putting this, you want to put another distally one more stent. That is what you are planning?
Exactly, that is the plan, Srinivas. Even diagonal also, the distal lesion has to be stented. So once we secure the bifurcation, then we can stent both LED as well as the diagonal.
How would you strategize the post-dilatation? Do you have to do any post-dilatation?
Depends on what result
So
you
before
get.
putting the bifurcation
Anyhow,
stent,
you're going to do a kissing balloon, so that's a post-dilatation for you.
which is the main way here, the diagonal.
We would like to make a small announcement. 11:30 to 1:30 we have hands-on session in Hall B for the younger colleagues where we show the technical demonstration of transeptal puncture, transcarotid ductal stenting and pacemaker troubleshooting and primary PCI problems. And we also have echo and TE ICE workshop in Hall E where 3D imaging of ASD, intracardiac echo and coronary artery disease evaluation by TTE and TE will be shown. For those of you who are interested, just for information, we wanted to announce it. We'll go ahead with the case.
Yeah, I can focus on to this stent. Srinivas, you are able to see?
Yeah,
Yes,
zoom
we
it.
can.
You zoom it, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Basically, these are two balloons on which this stent is loaded.
Yeah.
So both these shafts are together by means of a peel-away sheath. So while you are advancing this shaft, the peel-away sheath automatically comes off
Okay.
at the Y connector.
Now, can you just zoom on the
Yeah,
stent?
you can zoom here. Yeah, zoom it here. You're able to see two shafts
Yes, we
there,
can.
two
Yes,
tips.
we can. Yes.
So the longer one is the main branch shaft, shorter one is the side branch. Srinivas, you are able to see two tips?
Yes, not very clearly, but we're able to see the stent. Probably when you inflate, we'll be able to
Yeah.
see it inside.
Once you put the wires, it will be more apparent. So you go ahead and put the wires.
Separate గా పెట్టుకోవాలి ఇవి.
One other session which I forgot to announce is in Hall D, you have CT angiogram hands-on sessions, which are being coordinated by Dr. Ravi Bhattana and Dr. Johan. There again, diagonal port and LED port needs to be seen carefully and put, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First you have to wire the side
Main.
branch.
Side branch first?
Yeah. It's a shorter one.
Rotate like that.
It's a little bit difficult thing to thread side branch. Yeah. So side branch is threaded, side branch wire. Yeah, now both the wires are in. You can focus here actually.
Yeah, once you go inside, you focus on the fluoro so that we can see the marker of the diagonal part of the stand going towards that, so that people get an idea of how the peel-away sheath works.
Yeah, you should not take away this peel-away sheath manually while pushing the.
Yeah, these are two important technical steps. The peel-away sheath coming off, that's
Yeah,
one,
while pushing
which
the
you are able
shaft.
to see very clearly now.
Peel-away automatically comes off.
Yeah. And then you can show the flora as to how you are aligning the diagonal subset of the stent.
Center it properly. So while advancing, there should not be any resistance. Suppose
Yes.
if there is any resistance, immediately you have to stop and you have to suspect the twisting of the wires.
Yeah, the Chinese curve. It's called the Chinese curve.
What about the choice of length of a stent and the location of the side arm in a situation Medina 111 is there, then that would not be a...
Here there is resistance. So I think I suspect there is some twisting of the wires. You can see all the three markers on the stent.
Yes.
So I'm pulling it back. So what we have to do is now again we'll have to pull back the main branch wire and
Yeah, you got the resistance somewhere beyond the guide. So you just come back into the guide and then go back again so that you're... Yeah, because that's the simplest thing to do.
yeah.
Yeah, Chinese curve. Already dilated.
So this wire is already has taken some curve. It's not going easily into the LED. Go to eleva caudal.
Probably while pushing it down, it got looped itself below.
Yeah, got
Probably if you
twisted.
change the wire and take another one.
Tip of the wire got twisted. Yeah.
Patience and perseverance are the two virtues which you will require now.
Can you adjust the timer here properly? How much time is left for NIMS transmission? See the time and accordingly adjust.
Okay. The shape of the wire is gone. Yeah. Do epicranial?
In general, probably what for the benefit of all younger colleagues here, we should be following is when there are too many complicated things happening, we should try to do a very clean, neat job, short job and try to come out here. Though initially we didn't expect that problems were there, we must have thought of bifurcation. And generally when there is thrombus, burden, dissections happening, all that, again, you tend to take a stent with which you're very comfortable and try to do a good job at least in the area where you're working it out and come out. But as we discussed before, diagonal area could be important here because the LED is already infarcted. That's why they try to protect the diagonal. We can understand that. But in general, whenever there is in trouble, you try to adapt technology with which you are more comfortable and use the stent with which you are more familiar. I think, Dr. Raghu?
Yeah, can I make a point?
Yeah.
There are two ways, because there are a lot of people who will be learning from this. There are a few ways where you can untwine the wires. One is because most of the intertwining of the wires happens outside the guide catheter.
Yeah.
That does not happen. So you take some time, untwine the wires outside the guide catheter, number one. Number two is you can still untwine them by pushing a 1.5 balloon across the bifurcation so that whatever the intertwined becomes untwined. So these two maneuvers will help us many times to recross the lesion after ballooning and all that becomes a little challenge for us.
Yes, your point is well taken.
Yeah. Test.
And And then the third thing what we can do is, because once we are passing the wire again, put a balloon on the diagonal or LED wire and then cross the wire so that it does, because still we have a chance of intertwining again.
Yeah, the square shape is gone, Srinivas.
Yeah, I think that's what I was telling, because the wire got looped it up too much. You can remove that entire and then change it, take a new
You
wire.
have to remove the entire this thing.
Then I think you will be able to do it.